You didn't like it? You didn't like it? I loved it.
You don't like them? Isabella.
Now, the perceptual set on that would say, listen, if Abby told everybody in the class, these are the most god-awful things you're ever gonna eat, and I'd like you to try it nonetheless, so you can tell me if you agree with me, she's kind of primed you to not like them.
Well, Matt said they were good, and
They are good. She liked them.
No, he said, I like them, try them. Some people don't like them. So I went in.
So Matt, you set me up for
Open.
failure.
Joe, Zip, I don't know, Sella.
Okay, so we're completely skipping context effects and emotion and motivation.
Let's see if I'm leaving out anything from my actual teaching notes. Context effects, you big dots, small dots,
Is
okay?
Stella the only one who read?
I
Yeah.
read. No, Stella's not the only one who read.
Oh.
I just
Abby, do you want to take the
Let's
And
go.
reading,
She's stepping at you.
notes? I'm feeling so like attacked right now.
reading makes things make so much more sense when the teacher just explains them after you've read.
See, that's why she's
If you haven't read yet,
to read before you do it.
then it'll be easier for you to pick up on, but still, it's better to have read first, that's all I gotta say. Okay, we're going into the physics of light.
No.
Alright, I don't know, use the word physics. I do want you to look, however, at this whole scale here. These are all the kinds of electromagnetic waves.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, you've seen this somewhere. Gamma rays very fast, X-rays very fast. And then you get all the way to radio broadcast, radio waves. AC circuits? No kidding. Do they mean air conditioner?
Yeah.
Weird. Now, for all the stuff we think about light being so important in our life, it takes up a very small space on this entire electromagnetic spectrum, doesn't it? So just know that.
Did you know shrimp can see 16
Not all
shifts of
shrimp,
color?
only mantis shrimp. Only mantis shrimp.
Can see what?
Okay.
I corrected him on this
Only
man.
Only mantis shrimp. They can see 16 colors.
That's cool.
Mhm.
Well, I mean,
What
we
other
could
colors
see, like,
can they see?
112.
No, they can see 16 times more colors.
No, like
And you know, dogs
I feel like
can
we
see
see more.
many fewer colors
Well, you-
than.
And
That's
you can
thick,
have
so I'm
like
looking at
a
something.
gene something that
Sure.
lets you see more colors.
There's a
Oh,
type
you
of
see more colors?
Yeah,
Or, like,
there's like
they
some
can see,
women that I think it's only in women.
Yeah, mantis. It's like mantis
And
shrimp
like
can see like
it allows you to
more
see
colors than
even
we can.
more.
excuse
That would
me.
be lovely.
I wonder what the other colors look
Yeah.
like.
Okay,
You can't
So-
imagine it.
your
Isn't that terrible?
light is, let's get cranky.
Terrible.
Electromagnetic waves. It's a waves of energy.
It's the
It's a
stuff in our
tiny
microwave.
part of the whole spectrum, and this is the visual spectrum. Roy G. Biv, you know this, everybody knows this?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't need to go through that. But do know from the slowest waves to the fastest waves. Now, we have to do something with this electromagnetic energy coming at us all the time and turn it into vision. So that's what we have to do. We have to, taking the electromagnetic waves and changing them into neural impulses. Which is called transduction. And this is just the first of the senses that we're going to learn about. And and it's pretty complex, okay? So, we first have to take a look at the waves themselves. Color, or they call it hue, okay? The hue is the length of the wave. So how far in between, and that's supposed to be the same length, okay? Whether they're like that, close together, or spread far apart, is gonna give you the actual color. So a really long wave like that,
It's red.
that's gonna be red. A shorter wave like that is gonna be blue. You don't have to know that. Just know that the length of the wave determines the color or hue that you see.
What is taking electromagnetic waves and changing to?
I'm sorry, what?
Okay, never mind. I didn't see it. Sorry.
And then, once you are looking at the intensity or the brightness or of a color, whether it's a neon pink, that's really bright. How do we get that? It's the amplitude of the wave, the height of the wave. Amplitude determines the brightness.
Was the color hues part of the sentence above, or was that showing the diagram?
Was the, I'm
Where it
sorry.
says color hues, was that part of the sentence above, neural impulses, or was
No.
that, no?
It's a new note.
It's saying that like the
graph?
The-
length of the wave determines the color or hue.
Right, the color, which is the hue, is determined by how far apart your waves are.
Okay.
The intensity, which we call the brightness, talks about how high the wave is. Alright, that's all you gotta know there. Easy. Now we have to learn about the eye. And the eye is a complex organ. Thank God we've got them.
Okay, basically, ready for this? Low frequency, red. High frequency, blue.
Alright,
You'll survive.
Big
She
amplitude.
said we don't have
Right.
she's gonna draw.
Oh.
Alright, you first have a covering on your eyeball, don't you? What's that called?
Oh, it's called the lens, right?
No.
No?
The
Your eyelid.
Iris.
You scratch it,
Oh, your
Cornea.
cornea.
You
I
scratch.
dissected it.
Awesome.
so there are surgeons, there are doctors who treat, they're specialized and they treat only corneas.
Oh my goodness.
Doesn't your cornea repair itself?
No.
No.
No. You can actually have a corneal transplant too.
Really?
Those are
That's
so
why they
cool.
like take cadaver eyes.
Yeah,
What is that mean?
They, like when you sign off to be an organ donor and you're like next of kin is at the hospital and your body's like laying there being sustained by like a machine, they have to like sign off, okay, so like basic organs, heart, lungs, whatever, eyes, skin.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool.
yeah.
It's,
There's a
And you're not gonna need that later, by the way, so might as well do it. And then you've got, the drawing gets sketchy here.
that's sketchy, because you sketch it.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Color. Uh-oh.
Alright, the color
Iris.
is called your iris.
Like the rainbow colors.
And your iris is a muscle that contracts to allow in light or to close off light.
The iris is the colorful part of your eye, right?
Yeah. turn the camera back on?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Did you take off the lens cap?
I did.
The lens.
Thanks for reminding me.
Bad pun.
That wasn't a pun.
Okay, and then you've got the iris is surrounding the hole, which is called the
Pupil.
pupil. Okay, so this hole right here, and I'm not drawing anything with any depth, it's just the hole, okay, is the pupil. It allows the light in.
That's just the cover.
So the iris and the pupil work together.
The lens is that.
Now,
Miss Turner, I'm sorry, like based on that picture, would the cornea be like the little bubble on the outside?
yeah, but you don't think of it as extending out at all.
Wait, so if the pupil and the iris both let light in, then like
Okay,
Joseph said, they were.
The pupil, the iris contracts, like in bright light, it contracts so you don't get blinded by the light.
Okay.
And in dark situations, you need as wide an opening as you can to get in as much light, so the iris opens up.
So like your eyes
The
adjusting.
pupil opens up.
Well, the iris opens
iris.
up and therefore opens up the
Oh.
pupil.
Your iris opens up, therefore allowing the light coming into your pupil. Okay, now, behind all that, you've got the lens. And the lens actually is, the light comes in and then your lens is a flexible, changeable part of your eye that helps you to focus the light. So the lens is flexible,
Very delicate.
really, helps you to focus the image.
What do you mean by flexible?
It literally shifts.
Like you can touch it. Like if you were to touch the actual lens of an eye, like
Mhm.
it literally is so flexible and moves. It feels like this. You know those weird little jellyfish that you can find on the beach that you can touch and once it feels like that.
Have you?
A cow's eye.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
I'd like
basically
to
the
get a
same
cow's eye.
They're
so
basically
we
the
can-
same thing as a human's eye.
Right.
They're just
I
bigger.
dissected a sheep's eye in like 3rd grade.
Oh, you did? Cool.
Boston's like
This is a cow.
and they did like the same thing. She
I think it's helpful.
Medical.
Then just so you know, the inside of your eye is filled with something called vitreous humor. It's jelly-like, okay? It's just a bunch of, jelly. But you don't need to know that. Now, we need to really, really pay attention to the back of the eye, because that's where all the action happens. So this area is a layer of cells, and it's called the retina. And the retina is where the image comes in. That's where the transduction from light energy to neural impulses begins to happen. The image is focused through the lens and is projected onto the retina, okay? And I think you know probably that images come in upside down and backwards.
Mhm.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't.
Everything you see is upside down and backwards, and then your brain fixes it. I don't know what the evolutionary reason for that is,
So you
but
could
it is
wire
that.
everything in your eye to just make it backwards, and then it would.
Well,
Imagine how
no, like-
confused you would be if you were missing the part that like didn't.
Is that how they found it out?
Whoa, everybody's on the roof.
How did they find it out? Someone just didn't have it.
They actually gave a little explanation of the history of it in the book, and I kinda skipped. It didn't encode. But it's pretty darn cool. Alright, oh yeah, when the lens is, doing its changing, it's called accommodation,
Oh no.
which is not the same thing as the Piaget term. Alright, so now we're on the retina, we've got the image, and we need to take a look at, probably gonna expand that retina picture. Let's see, okay, and then back here, of course, we've got a whole lot of axons that eventually converge and they go out. This is the optic nerve. And it goes, it actually goes to the thalamus, and then,
Easy all the time.
It's a clean plastic.
Easy all the time.
Like what you see in movies before someone like comes in with like a chainsaw
Yeah, but-
and they kills you.
There's too many of us.
Like, you don't have to done there been.
That's don't say that.
If the chainsaw guy comes in through the door, like how will you come out?
You throw a chair at him.
Okay, no.
But he has a chainsaw.
You all run on him at the same time.
Okay, this is what
You
happens.
can't cut all
So,
you at the same time.
Isabella, so
Alright,
this is what
focus.
happens. Themselves.
focus,
I'll do it.
please. Okay, once it comes into your retina, the image then is focused onto the retina, and then eventually, and I'm skipping some stuff that we're obviously gonna come back to. It goes out, the image goes out through the optic nerve, goes through the thalamus, and then the thalamus will route the transduced information to the visual cortex. It's complex, but let's add a little more complexity right now.
Great.
Yay! Okay, this. Now,
I know.
should I draw it or can you look at it? We need to have some stuff on the board.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
So, wait, when after it goes through the thalamus, what happens?
It gets routed to the visual cortex of the occipital lobe. Okay, here's the retina.
Ugh.
Really cute.
Okay, first thing you need to know,
Are we gonna draw it on the left or the right or on both? I'm gonna put it on my page. Like on the board.
left and right of the what?
Of the
Of that line.
Should we draw the retina over here, but are we gonna write over here, or should we draw it here, and then are we gonna write on both sides?
Oh God, I haven't planned that far.
Well, we need to, because we can't just erase something.
What's right on the
Or
right?
you could like use.
Well, let me surprise you.
Hey, Gabby.
What's right on the right?
Flick my pen on the floor. Let me see if it's there.
I
Okay.
wait for her.
It's,
I tried to wait, but then she erases it.
The first layer, I'm trying to draw a layer, okay? Actually, the opening is way too big. So the first layer contains the things that take in either color or black and white. You've got closer to the center, you've got what are called rods. You've got, oh, that's wrong, excuse me.
Oh,
Closer
God.
to the,
Oh, God.
I have one.
you hadn't written it yet though.
You don't know.
Courtesy of Kenzie.
Closer to the center you have cones. Think of that.
Cones.
Center, cones. C, C. Alright? And they process color. Okay, they detect the color. So you've got cones closer to the center, and there are relatively few of them compared to the other kind of cell. And there's 6 million of them.
Cones.
Uh-huh. Then, all along I should kind of draw this in black and white, but, you've got these things, I should just draw them like that are called rods. Because these things are shaped in a particular way. You can see that on the image. The rods are straight up and down, and the cones are more shapely. Okay, you got a lot of rods. You've got 120 million. And they detect the black and white. That's when you go into a dark movie, and at first you can't see anything. It takes about 20 minutes for your eyes to get fully adapted to dark conditions, and then you can see fairly well.
These are rods. Rods.
And it's the rods that are doing the work. The rods allow you to see in black and white, allow you to see in dim conditions. So you don't detect color in, think about a movie theater. Take away the ambient light, take away the movie itself. You're not looking at that because of course there's color in that. But the rods are allowing you to see everything around you. And if you see any color, it's very muted. Okay, so those are important pieces of information about certain kind of cells. Now, these things, and they transform energy into neural signals. So the rods and cones are the first step in transforming energy, light energy, into neural signals. Okay. Then you send that information on, okay, you've got neural signals, and these rods and cones activate the next layer of cells, which are called, I don't know
So
what
is
they
this
look like.
closer to the front of the eye that we're getting?
Yeah,
Okay.
isn't that weird? These are at the very back of the retina, then you kind of seem to be moving further out into the front of the eye. These are called bipolar cells. Doesn't matter how I draw them, you just need to know what they are. These are bipolar cells.
And we're getting closer to the pupil.
Yeah, bipolar, 2 words, cells. And they're just another layer in the transduction. I don't know why the eye is this complex. Obviously, they're not telling us the whole story. We don't need to know the whole story. Okay, then we go one more layer.
Wait, we don't get to know what bipolar cells do?
That's all you need to know, is
Great.
that information is transmitted to the bipolar cells. And then these are the ganglion cells.
Is it bipolar cells the ones in the middle?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, here's how I remember it. Rods and cones are pretty easy to remember. And then I remember bipolar because B comes before G. That's how I remember the order of these cells. Now, the ganglion cells are very special because they have their axons, all of their axons come out and they converge. They go in, they come together. And by the way, this center spot is the center of focus when you are focusing. It's called the fovea. I meant to mention that earlier.
So is it only, sorry,
It doesn't have anything to do with any specific cell. It's just a particular area in the back of the eye where when you are focused perfectly and you're seeing something very well, that's the fovea.
So the fovea is that little circle between
Yeah.
A and B? Or
Yeah.
1 and 2 or whatever.
So do those little axons go all the way back into the optic nerve?
They all go back down, yep,
They form the optic nerve.
and they form the optic nerve. So, the axons of the ganglion cells form the optic nerve. And where that happens, obviously, is an area where there's no sight, and it's called the blind spot. So here,
do we need to know like what the ganglions? Oh, you put the definition up there. Never mind. Don't worry about it.
okay, here, right here, is the blind spot. Where all of the ganglion axons come together. Did this make good enough sense? Drawing is not wonderful, but it's acceptable.
Korea.
Phobia,
Phobia.
F-O-V-E-A.
So is the blind spot like you just can't see there?
Right,
Okay.
right. There's, it's just a place for the stuff to exit the back of the eye, so there's no vision there.
The blind spot is where the ganglion axons converge.
Right, so what we're gonna do now is take all of these axons over here, and they're gonna go to the thalamus. Right, and then from there, they're gonna go to the visual cortex of occipital lobe. Pretty complex.
What is the outside? What does it say? F-O-U-C-A.
Fovea, where did I write
Center.
fovea? Fovea is the center of focus.
Is that in between the gap or?
Say that again?
I thought it said
Okay. Let's see if I've left anything out.
Is a phobia in between the gap?
Fovea is, I think, before you get to the it's definitely, but it's on the retina before you get to the optic nerve. It's kind of like an indentation in the retina. That's good. Now, now, we get to, let's see what they have to tell us here. Light, okay, this will be review. Okay. Well, that was weird. The optic nerve goes to the brain's visual cortex. There's an area of missing information known as a blind spot. It occurs because the eye has no receptor cells at that place where the optic nerve leads the eye, obviously. To test this, walk slowly up to the screen with one eye closed and the other eye fixed on the dot, and one of the phones will disappear.
Oh.
Someone do
Somebody
it.
do that.
I'll do it.
Walk slowly to the screen with one eye closed and the other eye fixed on the
Walking
dot,
slowly like one
Like, go
foot.
behind Matt, probably.
and one of the phones will disappear. Why just one?
Because whichever eye you close, it goes out of your visual spot.
One phone or a pair of
It
phones?
could,
Probably
One
one.
singular.
Just the farthest
Okay,
one.
your eye should be closed, right?
One eye is closed, one eye is focusing on the one.
Are they gone?
Try slower.
Not yet.
Try just putting your hand.
I think maybe you have to be like level
Really
to it.
close to it.
Oh,
You have to be, yeah, right in front of it, at the same height.
It disappeared.
Yeah, I mean-
Okay, one of them disappeared,
It
then it
does.
went like this.
It does?
One disappears over here on the left side, like I covered it up like this and I'm staring straight at the dot and it's gone.
I still feel him.
Too far.
Like this.
Like one of them disappeared for me.
Okay.
I was like, you have to be like looking at it dead on.
Yeah, you have to be at the same level. All right, ready?
Oh.
Move.
My eyes are weird anyway.
Yeah, I was like, doesn't it
All right.
disappear sooner?
This is an image
Close both your eyes, all four of them disappear.
of rods and cones. The rods actually are colored, the cones are kind of bland, well, they're greenish. And there are 120, 6,120,000. 20 times as many cone rods as there are cones.
Wait, so you said that the rods were colored, but then
No, cones are colored. CC. Okay, we're just reviewing here. When the light reaches the back of the retina, it triggers chemical changes in the receptor cells called rods and cones. Cones and rods in turn send messages to the ganglion and bipolar cells and on to the optic nerve. Rods help us see black and white actions in our peripheral view and in the dark. Rods are about 20 times more common than cones, which help us see sharp, colorful details in bright light. Now, it's pretty complicated. When you leave the eyeball, try to follow this. The images we see are not made of light, they're made of neural signals, obviously. You actually, believe it or not, can produce a neural signal by putting pressure on your eyeball. You've done that.
Is
Put
that
your-
what that is?
And you see lights. That's what's happening
Like,
when...
you know that really freaky,
Ow.
like,
This goes up my contact.
so wait, that's what this has been?
That's what...
From my childhood, like the most entertaining thing to do?
I'm sorry.
Is that really all that entertained you?
All these years,
Yeah,
and now
she's
you want to
childhood.
know.
That was your childhood?
I had a pretty bad childhood.
Okay. Yeah, pushing your eyeballs really hard, that hurts. All right, now follow the path. You know that in each eye you have a left visual field and a right visual field. We're not going to worry about that too much, although each eye has two different colors. So the information that comes out of your eyes crosses, and you need to know this term, where it crosses, the information from the left eye goes to the
But it's only the left field.
the left information goes to the left field, goes through the left thalamus. The right information of this is so complex. Information of the right visual field of your eye goes to the right thalamus. Then it all goes to the visual cortex. Now, where the information crosses, and it does, to go to the thalamus, you need to know this term. It's called the optic chiasm. the optic chiasm. It's where the optic nerves cross in their path to the thalamus. Nobody said that the eye was simple. This is going to take some review on your part, a lot of review on your part. Okay. No picture. All right, and we need to know this thing, and after we do this, then yeah, we will be finished. Alrighty. Some of the ganglion cells send signals directly to the visual cortex in response to certain features such as visual patterns, edges, lines, movement. So now we're talking about the back of the brain, we're talking about the visual cortex. The information's gotten itself from the thalamus now to the visual cortex. In the visual cortex, there are specific receptors that kind of decode these neural signals. They're called feature detectors. You need to actually know who discovered them. Hubel and Weisel and Hubel. Let me make sure that I get their names. There you go. You've got specific areas of the brain in the visual cortex, all of this is in the visual cortex, that helps you to recognize specific objects. Weisel and Hubel, they actually discovered this in 1924, and I have no idea how they did that. They discovered feature detectors. Feature detectors are specific cells that respond to very specific things. Lines, angles, curves, faces, and faces are actually, there's a whole special part of the left temporal lobe, I think, that are for face detection. And so people who have that disorder, I had it in my head
It's like
earlier.
right at the front of the chapter.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, description was at the very, very beginning. I'm gonna find that word.
I got it for you.
Okay. Prosopagnosia. I was on it.
Good job.
Good job, Stella.
Inability to recognize faces. So she's got a damage to one particular part of her brain, faces, back here. And that is damaged and cannot recognize faces. Pretty specific. Our brain is so incredibly complex.
Can you imagine?
There's houses, chairs, and houses and chairs.
Wait, what do you
That's just an example.
Wait, is that like if you if you pulling onto your driveway, you wouldn't be able to recognize that it was your house?
No, you wouldn't be able to recognize if you walk in and you can't, if there's someone in your house, you won't be able to tell if it's a stranger in your life.
No, not
No,
faces,
about
houses.
houses.
What about chairs? Would you just not
Would it be
able to
like
recognize
a
it?
specific
Or
still talking about
object or a concept?
I think that's just a generic, yeah, I think they're
Sweet, what
being
am I saying?
very,
I have trouble
I
recognizing
think
houses.
they're being
Someone
very
else?
generic.
Can't be.
I don't
What is
think.
You go to like LeBron's mansion, that's my house.
For my entire life without knowing.
I know
Walk
it.
in, walk in, hey, who are you?
So prognosia or whatever is like
What are you talking about?
an inability to see faces. Like,
Get out of my house, bro.
like,
Oh, sorry. Get my house mixed up.
Is this
prosopagnosia.
Prosopagnosia. Yep. And I can't tell you about the houses, if it's a house as opposed to a,
I feel like it was just
Too
you wouldn't be because like with faces it's like I
really
couldn't
dark.
know like so if you were like my husband or a stranger, so I feel like you wouldn't be able to recognize like what your house looks like compared to someone else's.
probably. But imagine inability to recognize people in this classroom that you see every single day.
Is that
All right, we came a really long distance today. I thank you for hanging tough with me. It's a lot of information. You've got to read the book. You won't do well on